Here's a recent idea from Soen Iverson, a satirical UI designer, that definitely struck a chord. The option to declare bankruptcy in the face of way too many emails. We've all been here, so today we're going to look at a more practical alternative. Shortwave helps us manage our inbox by treating it as one giant to-do list with items that we can snooze or postpone to a future point in time, and most importantly, check off. On top of that, they even have an AI assistant, a built-in chatbot that can write email drafts in your writing style, and also intelligently search and comprehend your inbox. If you're wondering how this might be different from Gemini's Google Workspace integration that also lets you search through your inbox with a chatbot, I would argue that Shortwave can do this with way more precision because it's a more specialized tool. And just from a UX perspective, I think it's helpful to have the chat right next to your inbox. In this tutorial, we're going to talk through some to-do list type functions and then focus on bundles and your AI assistant. Let's go. So first off, Shortwave's paradigm, the to-do list. Once you've imported your inbox, you'll notice that there are a lot of functions that allow you to treat each email as if it is a to-do list item. So for one, you'll see here in the top right-hand corner, you can just bulk check off everything that you received in the past 7 days as done. And with increasing levels of granularity, you can do the same with, say, an individual email, check it off, or with a bundle of emails, but we'll talk about bundles in a second. I personally haven't checked anything off, so my inbox is identical to my main to-do list. Because this is one giant to-do list, you also have the option to snooze some of these items. You can postpone them to, let's say, a different point in time when you're more ready to tackle it. That could be tomorrow, next weekend, next Tuesday, 2 p.m., after lunch, anything you want. Let's say I've decided to snooze this email until tomorrow. It's going to show up in my snoozed emails over here, and it'll get sent to me again tomorrow at 8 a.m. Both your sent emails as well as anything that you check off as done get sent to your Done tab. And if there's anything you want to snooze preemptively, you can do that by, let's say I want to preemptively snooze Southeast Asia program announcements. I can just check this box, hop over to these 3 buttons over here, click label, maybe make a new one, let's just say demo. And then automatically apply this to whoever is relevant, decide whether or not I want this as a bundle in my inbox, and most importantly, over here, decide perhaps that I only want to get these emails at the end of the day. Here's one example. If HR is often sending you administrative tasks, and if you don't want to think about them until the end of the day, you could put HR's email under the list of senders that this should apply to, and then opt for it to be delivered to your inbox at the end of the day, just like that. You can save that, and then it'll apply henceforth. Next, let's talk about bundles since we're heading there. You'll see I already have a bunch set up for updates, newsletters, promotions, events. To set these up, all you have to do is click on Settings, and Inbox, and just make sure that you're enabling bundling to occur by switching from, say, disabled to enabled. And now every email belonging to the same category, whether it's a preset category or one that you've made on your own, will show up within the same sort of line. If there's any category that you don't want to see bundled together, you can easily just uncheck any of these boxes. You can also continue to add different types of bundles by clicking on Add over here and then specifying some custom label rules like we did earlier. So let's just say. The great thing about bundles is that everything that I described you being able to do earlier with a single thread, like snoozing it or turning it into a to-do list item, can apply to every thread in a bundle all at once. Because as you can kind of see, I'm working with the email where I get all of my newsletters. We're not going to be able to see Shortwave's full magic and glory, but here's a brief preview. For example, if I want to turn this thread of events into a to-do list item, I can click on Add to To-Do over here. And super helpfully, it's going to read the contents of the emails and allow us to create a to-do list item based on what the emails contain, which I think is super duper cool. And now if we hop over to our to-do list, we'll see that it lives as a to-do list item. If we click on it, we can take a look at the emails that it applies to, and we can even write some things down about this to-do list item. And same as always, from this point, we could either snooze it or mark it all as done. But now we're going to move to the most exciting feature, which I think is their AI assistant. There are plenty of recommended actions to choose from that we can access just by clicking any of these buttons. My 3 favorite are summarizing, searching, and writing. So first, Here's an example of what summarization can do that I think is pretty fitting for the fact that my entire inbox is newsletters. Let's say you want to turn all of this newsletter content into a summary and you want to do this in bulk. You can go ahead and select a bunch of them, let's just say these 3, and ask for them to be summarized. And yeah, you'll see that the core pieces of information within each email has been summarized. This gets more detailed if you select fewer emails and less detailed and more broad if you select more emails. So depending on your needs, that's something worth keeping in mind. Let's go ahead and clear these. Shortwave also has suggestions for us that might come in handy, such as identifying action items first within them, or just checking to see which ones require something from us. Something else you can do, intelligently search. Let's say you haven't had time to update your resume in a while. Your search can be tailored to that use case. You could say something like, find all emails mentioning work I did for a relevant email, and list out the main items in point form. If you enter that, it's going to search. And from there, you can type in a second prompt, something like, take details that I can use to update my resume and write these as resume line items. And then from within here, these will be rewritten on your behalf. And then you can do this again for whichever other email address or for any other use case where a smart search would be helpful. Finally, you can also compose a new email or reply any of these emails, and their AI assistant is going to draft it on our behalf. So let's just say I want to compose a new email from scratch about an upcoming webinar about AI ethics on the 9th of April. And it's supposedly going to draft this around our writing style. And whether or not we love it completely or have bits that we want to edit, we can go ahead and just click on Insert into a new email, and it's almost ready to go. That's pretty quick, pretty slick. If you had typed it on your own and you go ahead and click on here, you can see that there are other things that you can do to this draft that are kind of familiar to a lot of writing-based AI platforms, stuff like fixing spelling and grammar, making it shorter, making the tone less formal, stuff like that. Let's say we apply that, and yeah, we'll see it rewritten very helpfully. Same thing applies with any email that we're replying. Let's say we're going to reply the Shortwave team, though we're not actually going to. If we click on Reply All down here, you'll see that the AI assistant is already very ready to help us out. Let's say we want it to reply from scratch. It's going to read this email and then reply based on the context. They've even provided a question. That's pretty cool. So I hope this helps us navigate our way around Shortwave. The first thing we did was talk about how it set itself up as a giant to-do list and some functions around this. The second thing we discussed was bundling. And the last thing we talked about was how your AI assistant can help you summarize items from your inbox, intelligently search for items, and lastly, write emails. May our email inboxes never reach the thousands again, and until next time, happy emailing.